Self-reflection helps us deal with the truth of our own emotions. It helps us learn to understand how we feel about certain things, and it helps us know what we resonate with. Use these journal prompts from Flip the Book and journal or contemplate or use them as conversation starters to see how you feel. How do you resonate with the paragraph read? What section of the paragraph can you take out to be a journal prompt for you? Have fun with it and learn more about yourself through the beautiful craft of journaling. And journaling you can do as little or as much as you feel. Well, I think it's time for Flip the Book. So would you like to pick a book? We've got
Yes.
1, 2, or 3.
Oh, I just felt pulled to 2.
2. Okay, so that's Your Insight and Awareness book. So it's what we refer to the big book. So you've got 1 to 430 pages to pick.
379. I don't know where that came from.
We love it though when it does that.
Yes.
And you've got, we'll say 1, 2, you've got 4 paragraphs to pick from.
Oh, I don't know why 6 is coming to my mind. Four paragraphs to choose from.
Yeah,
1.
1. Okay. So it's a dot point. So are we as mankind unconscious to the reality of our own denial?
Would you read that again?
Yeah. So I'll lead you in a little bit better because above it says the resolution of unconscious energy. So emotional baggage stuff is what I refer to. So the resolution of unconscious energy is driven by experience. The first dot point is, are we as mankind unconscious to the reality of our denial? And the second dot point is, has mankind chosen to be stagnant in our unconsciousness?
Wow.
Big.
Wow.
So, and
Interesting.
mankind I refer to, so this was written a long time ago. Humanity I refer to as souls in a human body who realize they're souls in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
Mankind is we're souls in a human body, but we've forgotten that
Mm-hmm.
we're souls in a human body. So
Mm-hmm.
are we as mankind unconscious to the reality of our own denial?
Yes. And, I think it's so. I just had this conversation last night, which is, again, this is, I see this as divine timing. I've had
Beautiful.
so many experiences that came out of my grief that I no longer say, "Oh, that's weird or crazy or nuts."
Yeah.
It's not. It is divine, right? It
Yeah.
is,
You're
and
in the flow.
I am in the
You're
flow,
aware
and
of the flow.
yes, and I just had this conversation last night, about, are we, do we live in a simulation? Are we aware that we can create our lives, or do we think that, is what is the difference between between a godlike being and nature, no God? And where we kind of ended in this conversation was to say, what's interesting is when one person shares information that resonates, that makes
Yes.
sense, when we feel it,
Yes.
when we can override what our brain is telling us, because our brain is what we've been taught. We're thinking about what we've been taught. But when we hear something and it vibrates, it reverberates, we feel it, and we hold on to it and say, okay, I'm going to pursue that. Let me take a step in that direction. That's not what I've been taught, and that's not what I think. Maybe it's not what I believe, again with your but this feels right, and I'm intuitively going to go toward it, right? And when we do that, when one person can shine that light on the path for us, and we go toward it, I think we start to come out of our denial,
Yeah.
right? And this is a tough solution to come to when we think about the way the world works with political economy right now and who's driving media, right?
Yeah.
And what voices are amplified and what voices are not.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to be thinking about that for a long time. That's a terrific, terrific question.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
What are
email
your
it.
What are your
Well,
thoughts?
my thing for denial, my understanding of denial, and I'm talking about coming from a position of working with people in their emotional chaos, right,
Okay.
is that there's a truth there that we've decided we didn't wanna know, so it goes into ignorance and arrogance. Ignorance is you don't wanna know, arrogance is you believe you know something better, so you no longer look for the truth. You just stay
Mhm.
with your own belief systems,
Mhm.
and part of what I see our greatest denial is that we're ignoring, we're in avoidance of the reality that we're experiencing. So denial is really like stripping away everything and seeing something in its raw, truthful version. And it's whether we like it or not, is own that is where the change has to occur. You cannot change a thing if you're in denial of reality. So and let
No.
no, you
No,
well, you
ma'am.
can't
No,
no, so
ma'am.
you can't change a thing. So we've got all these systems that aren't working in our favor. They're not serving us. We're serving it. Actually, we're being abused by most of them.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so and we can't change that until we actually pull out the denial and go, "What is it we are experiencing, and how did we get to here?" And
Yes.
then all of a sudden, you can see the map of how you got here. So that can sometimes give you a map of how to get out of here.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if we're in denial, then the head in the sand scenario, nothing changes.
Right. And I yes, and I write about this. I just touch on it, but the way if we look at attachment theory and the way your clients are attached
Yeah.
to their relationship that they then come to grieve, how do we detach? I believe that our ability to detach or not
Mhm.
is proportionate. It's related to how we are attached. So if we are an anxious, avoidant attachment style, oh, it reasons you'll see anxious, avoidant attachment detachment, as the relationship is ending, and a frantic grabbing and fixing, and I love you, leave me alone, I can't live without you, get away from me, and whatever the relationship was like, if you have a healthy attachment style, great, then
Yeah.
you can have your base is going to be a healthy detachment style. But the denial is so important there, Lorraine. You're right, because if we're not able to examine this intimacy of ourself, if we don't really know ourselves well enough to understand our relationship, our reality, the map that got us here, it it's just, pitch your tent in quicksand.
Yeah, basically. And it's interesting because it's like, because I do courses on, teach people how to be self-reflective, and really what you're teaching them is how to objectively observe. And if you can do that, then you can move into those denials. And what always shocks us is how far we've been in denial. When you go, you have, an activating event. I do love
Mhm.
that statement.
Good, yes. Uh-huh,
I'm
uh-huh.
adopting it.
Yes.
But you have an activating event, and all of a sudden you realize all you're breaking down your denial. See, I class evolution as a breakdown of denial, and truth comes forward,
Oh,
and
that's
you
brilliant.
start to value truth. But it's you've got to break down that denial, and we always go into shock at how much we've been in denial and how much we knew but didn't know we knew.
Oh, exactly, and there's grief in that, and it looks like,
Yes.
the Matryoshka dolls, the Russian nesting dolls.
Yes.
You say, "Okay, I'm gonna look at this," and you open it, and then you say, "Oh, okay, well," and then you open it again, and you realize why you
Yeah.
chose that relationship or why that friendship was so important at that time. We look at what else was happening in our lives that bring us to attach with these individuals who we're now grieving, and oh, there's just layer upon layer, just doll after doll of opportunity. to
Yeah.
heal. And yes, it is painful, but oh, I go back to saying if we can get quiet and
Yeah.
tune nourish and consume content like yours, feed your soul with healthy food and movement, nourish mind, body, spirit. When you're grieving, be careful about mindless scrolling, be careful about what you're watching. You don't need anything that's going to further activate your fragile nervous system. For
Mm.
me, I loved TED Talks. TED Talks helped me feel smart again after feeling for a while, how did I miss this for so
Yeah.
long? How I thought I was rather intuitive and aware, but how on earth did I miss this? Well, I it wasn't that I missed anything. It was that it was so well disguised.
I
And right, but it is so important that we ask those questions and
mm.
nourish ourselves. Again, we know what we need. And if we're mindlessly scrolling on the social medias or just binging something reality TV, that's not helping us open those dolls and be reflective and
Yeah,
grieve.
I see it a lot with narcissistic relationship breakdowns. It's like, be careful. You need to inform yourself. Good information that informs you. But when it becomes an addiction, that you're feeding more and more of the same stuff, and especially if it's, a lot of the time what we're trying to do is understand. I call them the perpetrators, the perpetrator that caused the grief. If you're
Mhm.
trying to understand them constantly without really identifying and understanding yourself and putting yourself as the priority, then it becomes this quicksand that
Mhm.
drags you further and further in. And what you're doing is, once you understand it, if you're giving yourself more and more information, you're just reaffirming the hurt, reaffirming the hurt, reaffirming
Yes.
the hurt. There's a process that you do need to get information, especially in those kind of relationships, because you need to go, oh, that's what that's about. But once you get it, it's like, let yourself move forward in whatever
Exactly.
direction. It might be a sidestep every now and then.
Absolutely, it's the
And that's fine.
cha-cha. It is, and,
Yeah.
we'll spiral. I say that hope is a double agent working both
Yeah.
sides, and so,
Yeah.
one day we're hoping that, oh, the friend is, mm, it's my birthday, and the friend always remembers my birthday, and we feel hopeful the friend is going to send a card, and then the friend doesn't send a card, and then we are sad, but then we can hope for ourselves again, all within a 24-hour period. So,
Yeah.
we're on this roundabout of hope, and that's normal to cycle in and out of it. It isn't just moving forward is a sidestep. It's not a linear process.
That's right. Yeah, and even if you feel like you're stepping backwards, you just you're going backwards to see something that you missed. That's all
Yes,
right. That's part of it.
exactly.
Bring it forward. Yeah,
That's right. Kick that rock over when you're back there, take a look, and then go keep on moving.
that's
I exactly.
brilliant advice. So thank you, Stephanie. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Likewise, Lorraine. Thank you for the important work you're doing. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to have been in conversation.